So for the bracket open, since it's a negative, it's a the bracket open and close from the Excel file signifies a negative value. So the bracket open, I'm going to leave it to a negative value. Then I'll just remove the bracket close and just replace it with nothing. And so when I run it and I do I change the data types for the pricing, discount, sales, cost of goods sold, to profit to a float. What I'm going to end up with is I will then have a profit that is a float. And then if I then say I want to look for profits that are less than zero, just give me the data frame for it, and you can then see my profit that are negative sign, which is good. And so the one other thing I want to also do is to change the data type for the month number and the year. I actually want it to be object. And so I remember correctly, I think is O for object, and the O object, I cannot remember, but I'm curious. So it will be month name and year, month name and year. So I think I might get an error, but I am curious, so I'm going to restart and run all my restart kernel and run all my cells again. Let's see what's gonna happen. Maybe I'll get the error I was expecting, or I'll be lucky. Okay, so I got an error as I was expecting. I think is O. I cannot remember. Um, uh, I think is I really cannot remember. But let me see. I think it's O cap. I don't know. Oh, sorry. I think it's as type. I'll just say string. Sorry, not object. So string and run. And if I do df.info, oh, I have object for food. Oh, so I'm also supposed to do month number. It is month. Yeah, so it's month number as well. Month number. I think I also have a yeah, I have an empty some reason I think I have an empty cell, empty column. Let me just restart kernel and run all cells again, and let me see what's gonna happen. Yeah, I do have an empty. Yeah, which is weird. But so let me just check df.columns and see what I'm going to get. And Okay, so I have an empty, wow, I have an empty cell. So I can do drop column. I can say drop df is equal to df dot drop, and I'll say the name of the column, the columns. I just want just this, and I don't need to specify the axis, but if I want, I can specify the axis. So 1 is column and 0 is row. And if I run it and I then do df.info, I would not get the extra column. So the column I want is just, then the axis 1. 1 is for vertical, 0 is horizontal. So basically this is like a table, and the column, the non-null count, the d type, are vertically 1. Then you see this 0 to 15 is 0. So basically they are rows. So it's saying we have one, the data types we have here, the sum, we have 1 date time, 7 float, 1 integer, 7 objects. So so we've basically done some data cleaning, and we can then use this to do some analytics. So from here we can actually get the month number. From the date we can actually get all of this if we so want, assuming they are not there in the first place like we did in the previous video. We'll just say df dot date. So we'll say dot dt dot, then it's going to give us access to so if we want the month, and that's, we're now going to get the month number. We want the month name, which is a function or a method, we get that. We want the we have here, so the month name, the month number. If you want the year, we'll just say y, and we're just going to get the year. So basically and which is why we needed to format this date in the correct format. Where it an object, it be very difficult for us to do some manipulation and get certain informations from the date column. Basically we can actually do crazy things. Okay, so I think if I remember correctly, right, I'm going to go to one of the I think one of the assessment that it gave, if I remember correctly. Let me see. What's the base? Oh, okay, so I'm going to check one of the labs. And so so we do have some of the visuals here. So for profit margin by product, profit by segment, basically total profit by product. So let me just show you guys some things on how to do visualizations using Python. So there's a library called so I'm going to import that again. It will be matplotlib. Basically use this for matplotlib.pyplot. so I'll give it an alias called PLT. It's famous. So I'm just going to restart kernel and run our cells. Hopefully it is going to run. And just so we're actually going to do some visualization. The first visualization I think we should do is so we can do the line chart, I think. So we can do the line chart of total sales by year. So the x-axis is the year, the total sales is the y-axis is the sales, and we can also do this as well. So January to December. So in order for us to do that, we've imported our matplotlib. So we are going to, so the matplotlib has some setting sorry, excuse me, some setting functions um, for visualization. So if I want to call anything, I would say plt dot, and I would um, uh, I would call the function I actually want to call. So basically for the line plot, you just say plt dot plot. For histogram, you just say plt dot hist, I think. Yeah. Then for scattered plot, you would say plt dot scatter. And so for the line plot and the scatter plot, you require an x and y axis. Now for this particular purpose, if we wanted to do this particular visualization, for instance, sales against the year, if I come, I think if I say so you need an x and a y axis. So if I say df dot date as my df dot date dot dt dot year, for instance, as my x-axis, and I'll say df, and I think we have sales. Now if I run it, you can then see basically this is actually not supposed to run, but for some weird reason it did run. So I'm actually just going to say plt dot show, and you can then see the data scattered everywhere, and that's because it is plotting every single rows of the year to the sales attached to it. Now that is not what we want. A lot of times if you're actually doing visualization, you are doing visualization based on a pivot table. So basically if we wanted to do a correct display of visual, you should do an aggregation. So let's say for instance I want to aggregate this. I'll say df dot group by what am I grouping by? I'm going to group by, so I'm going to group by df dot date dot okay, so I'm not going to put this. Just say I'm going to group by df dot date dot dt dot year, and then I'm going to say sales, right, dot sum. Yeah. And then I then have this so basically I can then decide to say I actually want to make it a pivot table but a data frame, and so I'll just say this, and I think if I do this, what am I going to get? Yeah, so this is not really going to help me. I'll now say dot reset underscore index, and good. So let me just say this is our line. This is our line plot. Now we have our x and y axis. So I can then copy this now, paste it here, and I'll now say my year, it will just be line dot date. Yeah, line dot date, and this will be line dot sales. I think line dot, I think, sales. And now if I actually I don't know why it is giving me this. It's actually not supposed to, because it's reading it as an integer, and I really don't want it to be an integer. So here I'm just supposed to come here and say dot year basically, and yeah, and if I come back here and do, I think this should be year. Yeah, so I then have, you know, because the the year, remember correctly, is actually an object here, but here, because I'm accessing it through the date time, through the date time functions, I think it's going to come out as an, yeah, so it's coming out as an integer, so that we don't want that, which is why we're having those multiple so 2023.0 like that. Don't want that. So basically this is it. So if we want to do so let's just say for our x-axis we want to say total sales year to date, and the x-axis year, then y-axis total sales year to date. We can then see plt dot x and x label. That's what we are looking for, and our x label is what, our year. So we'll just say year. Our y label is total sales year to date, total sales year to date, and so we then have that. Then we can then put a title if we want. We'll say plt dot title, and we'll say total sales friend. Then, you know, you can also change the color of our the line. I think if I say color, I cannot remember, but if I say the color or colors and I say red, I think it should give me an error. Ooh, it should give me an error. I think it's color or colors, I cannot remember. Yeah, going to give me an error. Yeah, so it doesn't understand the argument called color. I think it is colors. Yeah, so it is color, and I can change it to black if I want, and you know, you can change it to pink. What other color? Green you want. Then for this other um for the so, sorry, excuse me. So for the bar chart, I think we can do, so we'll also create a pivot table for segment against, so we have segment against sales, profit against segment, and profit margin against product. So we can create a so we'll say df dot group by, what are we grouping by? We can group by segment. We can group by segment. Then I think we have total sales, so we'll do sales, then we'll do dot sum, which we have here. So we can then do yeah, so this, so if we want to plot a bar chart, I think we'll say plt dot bar. If I, yeah, blt dot bar. I don't exactly know what the bar chart actually takes, but I'm curious to put this. I don't know if it takes an x or y axis, but I think it does. But yeah, I'm curious to do this. Oh, so it needs a height, and so it needs a height. Basically I will just say equal to bar, and I would do this instead. It does work. So I'll just click on bar and I get this. I'll just say dot reset, reset underscore index, and it does work. And now I can then say df dot, so my x-axis will be the, yeah, so I'm going to say df dot, and it will not be df, so it will be bar dot segment, then bar dot sales. Yeah, so I can then this is not really nice. I think there's a way I can actually set it to, oh, so I can do, if I want to do the what's the name of this other chart, forgotten the name of this other chart. I think it's this stack column chart, I can't remember. So I will just say bar, then I'll put h, so it's going to make it horizontal. Yeah, so then I can then see this. I think I can also put the amount. I've forgotten. So if I want to put data label, I've forgotten. I think it's also going to take a an argument, if I remember correctly. What is supposed to take an argument past a. Forgotten it. How do I do an argument again? Really forgotten. And so basically I've actually created an inverted bar chart, and that looks something like this, but I did some tweaking, something like this. Added data labels to it. So anyways, I'm going to stop here. Hopefully in the next maybe if we have a new session, I'm actually going to talk about how I came about doing these plots. If you do like the video, do like, subscribe, and comment on things you're having issues with, so let's see how we can actually solve the problem. Have a wonderful day.